abusia for ye mo bibia kwa basonko e de mo ba Cheers TV. Yes, mo somfo nyame kese na me de dwumade echi ame. She dan de nyina se na me kan no. Highway trend. Ye de bro ba bibia wo bia mo afie mo offices ba bia mo bia. We yen kan su. She ye de bro. Highway trend on the spot. The ACC na ye de bro. What you say? And unya na bia Cheers TV nkwa na obenya no highway trend na make I say in some ahodo a etwagu e want interfere ni so na e bro. Yes, den kansuo Burkina Faso den, Ghana Faso den, South Africa Faso den, US Faso den, Trump den in some etwagu no and ye de bro make I say nyame kese. Yes, me na me di dwumadi e chia me one hour say the dwumadi bro obo digital satellite Obo vocational center. One so I will share me obetimi de wodi aba. Yes. Ama ya bo niema ho daru e de ama kwan so nkosukura ma bibia aye kama bro nya na eba no. Bro nya na aba. Ene ye ba betena se sabi den na woton. Den e na wo a wo pese ye bo ho daru e de ma wona one so from now say ye be rura afefo from no niema etimi akoyi de ama wo. For numbers ni bia na mpanyfo no be kasa ma bibia aye kama follow your Cheers TV. Na Facebook san follow your YouTube. YouTube Cheers TV GH. TikTok Cheers TV GH. San na Facebook Cheers TV GH. U follow ya nsema hodo a etwagu wiase afana. Yes. Udi echi o digital no so a ye wo ho. Ye gina mpintin WhatsApp ntinta video no so ye wo ho. San so na YouTube, TikTok, Facebook ye wo ho. Make out say ubetimi e de wadwentre utrimu po e de fa 0244 86 92 33 0244 86 92 33 kwan so nkoso ye be kenkan messages ahodo bia e de amawo afenso nsema ekoso wo wiase afana ba bibia de wo be hu wo afidie no so wani je ho say ye be send bi e de amawo na we follow your link no na ade bia ekoso bia yada na didi e de akere mpacho mate ase bibia e kama na bibia nso akoyi e de amawo what you say de achi fa number no 0244 86 9233 0244 86 9233 on the highway trend any the bro obo vocational center say men kan say oba no me manin fa nsa enhye ne demre famu entena fie we wie school ot fie ye den say mrantie ebeba fie ho abebo no todwo de ende bomoden a na bright mo ani abre abaya no so wo fie ho no no ebesre say fa no ko hye obo nsa director obo vocational center na omma no nsa no djuma pedicure medicure ade bia ye de nsa ye bia wo ba ya so ye a director say baby obeda kwa de enye problem utu ya kakra bi wo ma ne tefa kakra bi a obeji abaya no ana awa brand ye no opese o ye nsentra adwuma no de opese o de camera ye adwuma no de opese o sua camera handling what you say de opese o ye talk show host na program ahodo a etwagu wo Cheers TV na ni je ho se opese o ye bi de wa ye bi de wa ko school ni bi awie kura na onya adwuma ni bi nye no director say ono de wa kwanya bebre de mamo nyina wo ba na ma ne ntra fie kwa sika na wa university wo mu akọ media school na onya adwuma ni bi nye no director say bra na ono obedi dwuma pe kakra bi na fa pia akola na tiko na oba na obedu ha so a yes MC ampanyifo ho opese oye MC adwuma yi bi na omo amode MC beka MC ne womo a omode ye ban frama mu na wo fie a wo hu ye ba bibia no yes adwuma no omo na mo ye ne kese pa oba na opese oye bia ekwan wo ho ana se akwanya wo ho opese oye newscaster and I said newscast anchor bomodin ana free your numbers no 024486 9233 afen so make out obo de that satellite adwuma ben na obie ne fofo kra ehia mfidi ahodo camera ehia gadget ahodo console sa adwuma ne etwagu wontintan fidi so obo de that satellite se men kan che say wa bie na apono ato ho wo mfidi no mpo na emu ayemra wo de to ne nkra ono obedi dwuma ma bibia e kama oba be sesa mfidie no nyina she on the spot what you say na bibia aye kama e abroche e na niema no nyina e fiba na dia eye Ghana dia nso a eye papa e wo krom ha nso director say how ho de hia ne se obefa number no na woni director akasa mfidi ne ba besesa ne nyina de ama wo ya sorry wo ya dwumaku na wo pese ye be build station ni bi ma wo radio station online TV online radio dia wo pese wo ye bia live streaming sorry for no programs akese aboye ashaba to the world wo pese mo ye live streaming yes ya crowd ye ne ba be di dwuma bro nya na ebe yi dwuma di ahodo bi am di dwuma di akese bia ye ne Morocco City Pub yes di dwuma sa live streaming ye be streaming wo honom nti wo pese ye bi ma wa bomodin afa numbers no 024548 chale ma me contact no oye fiso 024548 na yenkoye nim yes na yenkoye nim me ka wo se sabi yen sembre on the hwa hyehye nsam na etwagu na me mpese mre no betwa mu akọ na eja o ye udwumadi bia watimi anya daje na waye na bibia ye kama nsam ahodo ben na etwagu ntete video so me ka wo se we video no eda Cheers TV a enro ya hyehye tema habo immigration panyimfo ene Ghana police ensa etimi aka gadget ahodo afei etu ahodo ne etu aboba ahodo bia ehu emu owrem na sabri etu ne meka se etu aboba ahodo a ya package no fe abewura omanyimu a yenim dwumadi a ba bedi we are not in a war front and I say we are not in a war zone so why this guns and make I say ammunitions na abana sabri yache enkofo no afi so video no etwagunti e be say yenkohwe video no mbra na yenka nche ye ho say abato na ye kwakoto no just adventure ene ye kwakoto na ye yi omampanyin a ye susu say Ghana fo ye nyina susu say obetimi ade ye so na enye tuo ene sekan ene nkontimba ene ye de to aba adventure Ghana nso nye NDC dia Ghana nso nye MPP dia Ghana me no mienu a ye kwakoto sa aba na ma sa nkrofo no na omo papa ne omo mame mu abenya oman so edi na bibia atumi akokama no wo de man ko hwe video no bra na sabri jeje na me kese o ya long
Yes. So the life house will have about 65. So that
Highway trend, yes, a hankwana obenya no Cheers TV. That's right. We footage ye nuanom YouTube for e got fire yensa akabi. Yes, me boss abaso Ola Michael on our YouTube. Sabi video no etwagu Ghana for the decision is yours. O man ben e pese e chekere ni sei na edi etu ahodo edi djuma we a highway trend we ye nche wo ho what you say nti ye be move on to the next story. Sabri Bank of Ghana, yes, ama bie asoye foforo kra, yes, and they etwagu no ye wosika ye betimi dia ye sa na ma we nyina so ye ni sika ye de hwe Ghana for ho kirem kwa ye nyesika mfanta bia ne ndi eno de but ye bibi say ye betimi aye I think say it's a nice edifice and I say ultra modern edifice. Bank of Ghana for yes amwasi aban Bank of Ghana NSC sa abrosan fe we a national headquarters at the Bank of Ghana sabri eno e ka ye bo sa dan we hu about 250 million and ye wo solar panels ahodo a say ye panels ahodo a ebe maye solar ebe maye awia ebe maye nyinam na ama say electricity enni hono ma say ye de nyinam etimi aye adwuma enti we ena etwagu she on the Bank of Ghana for we ena aja omode abedom Ghana new headquarters kwan so nkoso kura na eja edi aba no na yen sembre no ye besen move on to Titus Glover tema anase Sprinters Road ene ye krom ha Accra Flower Pot interchange ye no foforo kura mono chiao sabri amanfo ahyase edi ye bie kwan atum amanfo ahyase edi kan sen niema esisi ho ye bobo ntabo ne containers ahodo a chesa obia pe baby pressure opese de bibi kosi wona I think say wo say authorities mutimi enforce mra ye adwuma bibi say de unko babia nkohu say ye bie kwan tumu ana amanfo de omoniema kosisi ho no makwa I think say enye the right thing to do ye pese oman no konkan na oman no konanima ye kra ye say oman Accra enye fe Accra e fin na say ya ye we na say ya be sa kwakoye ho fin dia na etoje ya akasa I don't know MCR say video na ready a ye move on na video na mbra na ende ye be ko Kenya what you say ye nko ye hwe video na mbra she on the hwa na dia etwago no ye nua bema na say ye papa ye minister ye MP ye bibia Titus Glover na eja ono a esidwom sikrom bubu ne ma I think say edu ba bia mpanfo mema ye mfa emra no enhye ensem keten I think say efe me de manage ho say ye enforce mra no ade no nipa no wafoma a ye nche no ye mfa no kogina mra no na mra ntwe na so mbra mu oden enam say da bia ye say a na amanfo efe say oh ye ntimi nyom hwe nti da bia obesan baba ye biem ye ncheche sankofo no nyina enfom kogina mbra no na mbra ne omundi ye mia mbra no mu a mesusu say obia ye Ghana ni no so opese ye bibia obe follow procedures na bibia ye kama sabri ye be move on nsem ne drosso ye videos ahodo ye bebo sabri hye otumfuo yes nyamekase otumfuo nyamekase nankasa eko achampem hene ayi in a grand style nyasem ketwa video no ho ba ye mbo video no bibinti ye mbo video no sesi a nana eko ho mo ema ho ye kama chese culture bibifo anase Ghana for ye wade oye mbese me kan se wo culture bia wo culture na mane nsombo ma na santefo no wo culture amani giom culture ho anti da bia mo pese mo da bibi sonko adi nananom de agyo mo da na di che wiase eno ena me no ye nye bia da bia ye sori a na ye di matem ena santefo ye sei ena asantefo nya hwe asantefo mo nya hwe de omo wo no omo da na di a che wiase ama wiase hu de omo wo so de awo no da wo de na di fache wiase na wiase hu ni awon so wo yes you be move on ye no de no erechi ye be bo video no sabi minua be ma Wodemaya yes wa copy Kenya na wa copy Kenya no so enyasem ketwa Kenya for aye electric motorbike I don't know if video no ho mbre nti yetimi mbo video no because nsem no bi wo ho no ma ebi didibi achi ahemfo chene yes ebi didibi achi nti Wodemaya akopie Kenya ene Kenya for akokodi nkomo enye abrofo na ye motorbikes no eye bibifo Kenya ye nuanom bibifo e wo Kenya ene eye motorbikes ahodo ye de electric ene eye chese enya senkweto hu video na it's amazing ye bebo video no ba enya sisi a ye be move on to our next story we eye highway trend she on the hwa ene de bro ba bibia obia ye ka wo se dwuma dia ahodo bia odi bia opese obeso ya sena bibia ye bia no ye ne odi dwuma na ekoyie no de eno ane Cheers TV. Fire numbers no 0244869233 kwanson koso. Na ye no ubedi dwuma ma bibia ye kama. On the highway trend ye de bro. Sabi ye beko amanone anase nkrufo ahodo so. Eye Kenya. yes Kenya Kenya man penyin Traore and I say everyone say kind of say Burkina Faso president Ahmed Traore and I hear corner so SCA in some brinana eja etwegu omo de omo say democracy yeah Ghana for ye home na democracy omo say embo omo ton enu nti omo atwe omo ho afi democracy ho enu na Ghana man penyin ene amaya hodo so United Nations ene European Union omo say omo de omo nti ase Kenya for ye nuanemo mumbra na monsambe dom ekuo eye democracy kuo no Kenya force Dabi da Mali force Dabi Senegal force Dabi Uganda force Dabi your friend is saying Botswana force Dabi amu nyina amu pe total freedom na total freedom we na akofa nsem bebre aba sabri ameka say Burkina Faso force chese amanfo swai okon ahodo wo mo so okon aye swai wo mo so ntino ama omo so mo de mo ho akodom Russia for bomb dom so na ye wo other countries am so mo bomb dom ye de yanko hwe video we mbra na ye ndi nkomo no yanko hwe video next video mbra na ye ndi nkomo
Imam me akwaba
to meju so
bibi aboko
to ye da nyame ase
na people don't know but now no ye ndi nkomo about this particular issue that was almost like almost a month and a half ago. And I can say Ghana, you're very careful because you're not Burkina Faso. Because first of all, no one say Burkina Faso the be our life. And also say Burkina Faso and Ukraine, they are our neighbors. I always say they are our brothers and sisters, sister countries, brother country. But for some time now, since Kudita and see you know. Burkina Faso no gradually no, they are turning into Ghana's enemy and a Ghana's bad and a stubborn friend. Now no Burkina Faso leader Ibrahim Traore on a video no etregu screens no so no.
Will Russia protect Burkina Faso if it is facing a threat from the West? Recent events have shaken the geopolitical landscape of West Africa as Russia deploys a massive number of troops to Burkina Faso in response to a failed assassination attempt on President Ibrahim Traore. It is clear that Russia will stand with Burkina Faso no matter what. But why once again an assassination attempt? And why is Russia willing to protect? Let's find out. We all know what external factors are behind it. And not just us, but everyone is saying it. So, what drove the West, or its allies, to attempt the assassination of Burkina Faso's leader, Ibrahim Traore?
Audacity to tell us that we are poor countries. They are taking trillions out of Africa every year. And what is the African doing? Like an obedient, programmed black man, we just give in. And then one might say, why is it that African leaders haven't done anything about this deplorable situation? Well, let me tell you, my brother and sister, they have tried. Documented to this day, 22 coups where leaders were assassinated. The first 7, when they decided they were pulling out of the CFA and that they're going to print their own money, they were assassinated. Every time an African leader has tried to do what's best for their country, they were assassinated.
Let's cut through the noise and get straight to the point. The West, or its allies, had every incentive to attempt the assassination of Ibrahim Traore, and it's no mystery why. Since coming to power in 2022 through a popular uprising, Traore has become a symbol of defiance, a thorn lodged firmly in the side of Western powers that have long treated Africa as their resource pit.
All right, for now, the video etwegu Ahmed Traore, yes, Burkina Faso president. After so ye coup, j on mine a man for bebre na Sovietiano, European Union, UN, sorry, just a nyasem ketwa assassination bako attempt ayaya ye pese ku sa president we nyasem ketwa bako 18 boni be na waye odi ne ho ose Africa asase a ne nananom wo ne to so no eye omo dia omo gold omo diamond eye omo dia enye Trump enye European Union, IMF, World Bank, World Peace, enye mo dia o eye ono ne nananom na busia for Ghana for and I say e bi before omo dia omo kire say omo pe total freedom na enam say democracy no wo hyemu a wonde wo ho abrofo no sign dictate e de ma say yes nti ono pe total freedom no watwe no ho amanfo say mo ntia ase eno nti US esoi okon e wo saa oman ne so eno nti Russia for say amoso amontwe amode mo ho akodom ametwari amone ne ko ben kro mu say US for sorry say amone mo be kokon na amaye ready ambe mo showdown nti Russia for e de omo ntoma akobo Burkina Faso for e de ano say papa na mpese mu kunu no yes ye makwan ma mu kunu enam say meditate e de ama abibifo for too long ewiase no magye aboso America for who says Abri Amombre Amobedi was as to say super world superpower and I say world superpowers 4% much say among premier before yen day home ton on my end day home and chenchenia am say ye konko asum Burkina Faso presidency lalai watwe no ho Mali for some matwe mo ho Botswana for some matwe mo ho Niger for some matwe mo ho Sabri amaya hodo a we ye before Ethiopia na moka ho nyina any South Africa for nyina twem ho kakra Ghana for mo ye den I think say amanfo ya attempt say mpesa muku ye Ahmed Traore 18 times amaya muntimi and am say onya backing ahodo fi Russia any Saudi Arabia for kwasa dey emone nkura ahodo bako 42 countries and akaboma amasoma a soldier for kukudam eko Burkina Faso say yenko na yenko bot Ahmed Traore ho ban me ba me ka try Ahmed Traore so say o man ni nda ho sa brofo yi de yenje mundi bako kwa amo ba no they are coming for ye gold ye diamond ye bauxite ye bibia enu nti na abrofo no mpese ye bede ye ho enu nti na Trump mo esoi okon kese wo mo because mo say ye de ye ho a sa ne ma no mo nya biem ne ma mo de chechire mo kuro no amu nya biem gold no mo nya diamond no mo nya rosewood no mo nya biem nti enu nti amo mpene ma ye de ye ho enu nti Burkina Faso omo de madem ho nti sabri ye be move on na ya share the next story highway trend on the wa na the bro Burkina Faso say omo nti asio ton sabri so another video etwagu ye be pese ye be kwakwo video no and am say mbre enshada ni afa yenko na enhwe the next video na yendi hu nkomo kakra.
How deep will Saudi Arabia's ties with Burkina Faso go? Saudi Arabia has sent military forces to Burkina Faso under the IMCT banner, signaling a pivotal shift in the battle against insurgency in the Sahel. This move not only targets insurgents but also puts the West on notice. But wait, aren't they two sides of the same coin? Never mind. What will this partnership truly mean for Burkina Faso? Let's find out. What prompted Saudi Arabia's decision to send troops to Burkina Faso?
Sergei Shoigu met with his counterpart from Burkina Faso, Kassoum Coulibaly, to discuss military cooperation, with Shoigu hailing the positive dynamics between the two countries. Russian-Burkinabe relations are based solely on the principles of mutual respect and consideration of each other's interest, and in recent years they have acquired positive dynamics. I consider today's meeting to be another step in the development of our friendly relations. Burkina's military rulers have deepened cooperation with Moscow as the country looks to diversify its international allies following a coup last year.
Saudi Arabia's deployment of troops to Burkina Faso through IMCTC is not just a reaction to the growing jihadist threat. It's a bold step towards redefining global partnerships in the fight for true sovereignty and security in Africa. For Burkina Faso, under the visionary leadership of Ibrahim Traore, this is a crucial moment. Traore has made it clear that Burkina Faso will not be a playground for Western interests any longer. By aligning with Saudi Arabia, he's forging a path that prioritizes Burkina Faso's independence and security on its terms, free from the usual strings attached to Western military assistance. Saudi Arabia's move to send troops to Burkina Faso is a signal that the kingdom understands the shifting dynamics in Africa. For too long, African nations like Burkina Faso have been subjected to foreign interference that promise stability.
Alright, ebusuafo na make I say video na twa gu no Saudi Arabia fo na omone nkro anase aman ahodo baako mienu miensa enan 42 nations anase countries na aka bom na masoma amwa soldier fo say no ye nuanom amwo Burkina Faso ye ntwe ma America fo entu omoso sa dabi enenti omonko na omone Burkina fo onko kan bom na ye nsori ntia okun kese a eba wiase 2025 yi from now to 2030 okun kese a abrofo no aye western world ama sai ewo abibifo ye so no na omukọ na amone omako boa na se be ya ntokwa eba no ombe so ano nti wa ye ready se opese oni Burkina Faso ko chia na mko sieni ekun ntokwa de na wo so wa ye ready se okuna eba no so omo so ma ye ready omo say Burkina Faso men kan say they are ready, we are not afraid. They are ready for the showdown. What I say showdown so they mean say papa can Japan na eja dey menim say o ma beje ho e be akwaje ho royalties wo Burkina dia enti na me kawo say Russia for and Saudi Arabia for aka bom and 42 other countries amasoma a soldier for kuku dam and na hu say etwagu wo TV ne so no akọ Burkina say yenko na yenko Burkina for ho ban na embo president no so ho ban sa e na ye ka che o say Ghana ye consent media me Ghana ni me bibini I support everything black ade bia ye tuntum bia manage ho me support me ko me tuntum na me Gina TV ni so e me fe pa nyame na bo me sa nti ye support ye nuanom na enja say ye man panyifo oman na ye de ahyem nsa no ye mfa oman ahyem nsa say mo betoto oman na edeje mo betoto oman na say ba bia oman ne kono edu ba bia me kai say president ko for time Somalia antokwa Libya antokwa edu baby ye create baby e de ma ye nuanom e wo Budumburam kaso akwan so ende ye ma ye nuanom baby tena ye de ekono se Ghana for yanhwe yi a the way anema kono anhwe yi a ye be enemy to Burkina Faso Senegal any countries ahodo aka no se ekoye sanso a ntokwa sisesi a na BBC a ehefa ene ye de ani be kire amampanyifo mu tuma na mo na mo hwe yi Nana Akufo-Addo wakwaje award ewo France award akwaje no France no award na mo de ma no minimum adwuma a wo ye aye ma sa award no de but ni nyina in collaboration with the United Nations in collaboration with the Western world I say ye ne omo ewo nakra na enu nti se Burkina Faso say amatwe omo ho na omo aye bia say omo mba any Western Union and I say Western world na embe kan bom na Nanado and I say Ghana yen na France for be use yen as scapegoat ye de yen omo ye yodium na ya ukwajeje sa award na asemo ba mo de mo passport ahodo am betimi atukwan akọ France president mi nimra bi a wote mi nim kwan amefa so kra menya na meka say mi tukwan anase mi dwane akọ Afigana akọ France nana de amoye no mo hwe bibi yo because award akwaji ya mo de amawo mi hu mfaso bi e wo so sabri kra anka wo kra anka the best thing to do ni say anka reject that award reject it immediately catch am say oh when you aso ade bia ma yoma ba award de wontimi nje say be ya yenua no Burkina Faso enhu say ka say yen ya akwakoye ye yi mama ye beswe baby aye kono ye hwe na yen toto ne ma yi na anhwe ya oye na bi ba Ghana for ye ho be che yen aso be hye you be move forward na share other videos ahodo MC how video aye ready bia so ye hwe na ye mbo na ye move forward she highway trend and the bro bia obia.
For decades, Mali, like so many other African nations, was trapped in an economic straitjacket. You've probably heard it all before: high debt to GDP ratios, loans taken out to pay off the interest on previous loans, and foreign lenders dictating terms that siphon wealth right out of Africa's veins. It's a familiar story, isn't it? But here's where Mali flips the script in a way no one saw coming. Imagine this. A nation that was once drowning in financial obligations suddenly throws off the shackles and emerges debt-free. That's exactly what Mali did. But the main question is how Mali did it. Let's find out. Let's rewind a bit and understand how a country, once regarded as a perpetual debtor, managed to pull off this economic miracle. First, let's set the scene. Mali's debt situation was dire. For years, almost 50% of the national budget was eaten up by debt repayments. Picture this. Hospitals were underfunded, schools couldn't afford basic supplies, roads remained unpaved, and all the while, Mali's hard-earned revenue was funneled overseas to service its debt. It was like being stuck in quicksand. The harder they tried to move, the deeper they sank. For Mali, as with much of Africa, the debt burden was not just a financial issue. It was a question of sovereignty. How can you claim to be truly independent when you're at the mercy of foreign creditors? Enter Colonel Assimi Goïta, the military leader who took over in 2021 amidst a backdrop of political turmoil. Unlike previous leaders who bent over backward to please Western powers and international lenders, Goïta had a different vision. He wasn't interested in playing by the old rules. His administration took a scalpel to the national budget, slashing wasteful spending and putting a stop to dubious contracts that funneled money into the pockets of foreign interests. But this wasn't just about cutting costs. It was about making the country self-reliant. So, what was the secret behind this economic turnaround? To the rest of the world that they would no longer be shackled by the chains of financial colonialism. This move sent shockwaves across the continent, especially among corrupt African leaders who've been more interested in lining their own pockets than serving their people. Imagine their surprise when Mali, a country they once looked down upon, suddenly stood tall, debt-free, and unburdened. Yet, this was not a flash-in-the-pan moment. It was the result of strategic planning, hard decisions, and a vision that looked beyond short-term gains. The international community was left scratching their heads, wondering how a country that had been on the brink of economic collapse suddenly pulled off such a feat. Was this some kind of miracle? Was Goïta practicing economic wizardry? The truth is much simpler. It was about putting Mali first, focusing on what the country had rather than what it lacked. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Mali's success is not just an isolated case. It has the potential to inspire other African nations that are still trapped in the debt cycle. But will they have the courage to follow Mali's lead? That's the question on everyone's mind. Because let's be honest, it's one thing to talk about breaking free from debt, but it's another thing entirely to do it. But Mali's bold move isn't happening in a vacuum. It's part of a broader, seismic shift taking place in the Sahel region. Enter the Sahel Alliance, a coalition of countries, including Burkina Faso and Niger, who are tired of being...
Mali video no president and say omo pesa mo dia mo ho yes like Burkina Faso president ka say ope total freedom Mali for some total freedom pesa mo dia mo ho ntino omo tuya omo ka omo de World Health World Bank wiase ka omo de ka mene omo no omo ko tuya omo ka nyina say be ya omo betimi ade omo ho na omo atwe mo ho eno nti Mali for acclare omo debt nyina na ansa na mbe claim debt no Mali for e de omo ko dom Burkina Faso no ni Botswana ni Mali ni ni Ghana omo ka ho no I think say nhehye ahodro bia akoso nhehye akoso ne say sikasem ye sikasem dollar no emboa ebibre mu ha ye dwumadie eno nti emo de omo ho akodom South Africa a ye de sika nhehye anase ntoto ye foforo aba ye friend BRICS sa BRICS no ena ye de akọ clear omo debt nyina afi ho se be ya omo betimi ade omo ho ena video no etwa agu no ti sabri Malifo etua omo ka nyina omo pese omo de omo ho nti sabri video no yakọ hwe video na ba video no wa wo pese wonya video no bia me so 0244869233 0244869233 kwa so nkoso ye be send link no the amount videos no so ye be send the amount nti wo boy higher na ya send videos no the amount Malifo no ena mo de etwa agu se ya no hye on the highway trend and ye the bro baby bia wo bia ye another video ye be bo ente ye mbre no aye bia ne sa ente ye be sorry dwumadi no so na ye nko ne hwe the next video na ye mbra indi hu nkomo yes.
For decades, Mali, like so many other African nations, was trapped in an economic straitjacket. You've probably heard it all before: high debt to GDP ratios, loans taken out to pay off the interest on previous loans, and foreign lenders dictating terms that siphon wealth right out of Africa's veins. It's a familiar story, isn't it? But here's where Mali flips the script in a way no one saw coming. Imagine this. A nation that was once drowning in financial obligations suddenly throws off the shackles and emerges debt-free. That's exactly what Mali did. But the main question is, how Mali did it. Let's find out.
Right, ebusia for na ye catch your ebusia for ye ma obi bia kwa ba biem de mobile TV. Yes. Video na me pepe no mensanka eye Burkina Faso president na ye friend no Ahmed Touari wakwa kosi statue. I say wiase no se wo bo homode anya wa na obesi statue. Na waka say nchiriba fankayo. Wo bo homode a nchiriba na ehu modern bo abo ma oman na omo ambesi statue ama kosi Jerry John, the late Jerry John Rawlings. You see the statue. Ewo Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso. Video na me pena me sanka no. Yes, that's my last video. That's my last video. And me sanka sa video no ntini. Nyame aduma china e be send video for ba me ka say Burkina Faso akosi statue sonko e de ma ye late Jerry John Rawlings. Eno e na ye ka che say wo bo homoden a enye wo ena obesi statue obi ena besi statue di ama o emre na ye be enti ye beko nyame yadmo chan ye besan ba na me ka say ade bia wo ton a wo pese ye bo ho da roma we school and I say wo school driving school na wo whatever you are selling and I say whatever product you have ye pese ye bo ho da ro e de ma bomodin free numbers no 024486 9233 kwanson koso 0244869233 kwanson koso na enkinkan fama and I say yenton wo niema no enfama o sabre nchia sonko enkoma Globe Trotters travel and tour manager nchia sonko enkoma ba bia obi asanso ena me maame ba akopɛ Mama Doris o Kumasi Mama Doris boutique and barbering salon. Yes, Mama o boy juma. I say entade ahodo bia opese odidi Christmas yi wo ma no family na busuya no famu nyina afabra Mama Doris boutique na bibia be kama. Yes, Mama Doris nchia so nko ma e Kumasi sanso na Ideal Shampoo Cosmetics. Yes, also wo Kumasi Mama also nchia so nko ma Ideal Shampoo Cosmetics. What you say? Udware shampoo na anti-aging. Wunyini da bia wo ye young. Senya me dia da bia me ye young no sa pepepe. Ideal Shampoo Cosmetics. Nchia sonko enkoma mu nyina medo bibia ase da sende anase o chena nyame ya adoma e besen atana ase biom medo bibia ase